Lesson 3 in our unit on addiction, the Rat Park studies. This can cover so many things in the biological approach. Also looks at the health problem, substance abuse. So what were the Rat Park studies, and why does deprivation and neglect increase the risk of addiction? Quick Kahoot review. This is an idea I came up with. I want the students to rehearse these key terms. How do you make it a little bit more interesting? Instead of just if I give them the definitions and find the word, it's too easy. Give the word and write the definitions, that's too boring. So I thought, why not make the word scrambled first, then write the definition, and it's a competition, time it, see who finishes first. Just an idea. Okay, here's the answers to the scramble. You can go through what the words mean. Review, risk for depression. What were the factors that influence the prevalence of depression? So what are the risk factors? Okay, and then we can just do a quick review here, because we're getting into what are the risks for addiction. Work with the partner, ideas in their workbook, come up and brainstorm what do they think they might be. I'm probably going to guess it already. We're going to review neuroplasticity, because this is relevant for later in the unit when we look at how growing up in a deprived environment can affect the brain. And I really wanted to put Rosenzweig and Bennett into these slides. And so, this is early stage from the 60s, if you're familiar with it. And then we can look at and the reason I like Rosenzweig and Bennett is because it's a similar methodology to the early studies of addiction, where they'd put a rat in a cage and they would overdose until they died, and that inspired the Rat Park studies. But so here you can get students to go, what's the problem here with going, look, heroin's super addictive, you're going to do it till you die because this rat in this cage. Love ChatGPT image creation. Anyway, before they think about that, they're not really going to understand it, I don't think, if we just first talk a little bit about generalizability and ecological validity. If you've already covered these, great. Now come back to that question. Okay, what would be the original problems? Can they think of any? And then essentially the idea being, you're a rat in a cage by itself in an isolated environment with no other one to interact with. You might have just done it because you were bored. Interestingly, people who score high on trait boredom scores are more at risk for substance abuse disorder. We get to that later in the chapter. No, actually this lesson here, I think. Anyway, now we get the students. Okay, could you design a better experiment? See what they can come up with. We're actually, of course, we're going to get to the Rat Park in a moment, but they're inherently interesting, the Rat Park studies. But can students figure out, how would they try and test it? Again, just trying to get them to think like psychologists. Okay. I can't put the images from the original here for copyright reasons, but if you're only showing it to your students, you might be able to get away with it. There are some videos here show this little couple of minutes is a good clip, and this is the guy who did the studies and actually shows the environment. Okay, think per share, why do you think deprivation increases the risk of addiction? And then they can find the answer and write the notes. I use think pair share a lot, and sometimes I wonder, do I use it too much? But what I try not to do in my classes is do that thing where we ask the kids a question and then just pick on one student straight away to answer it. I do think pair share is, it's just valuable. You can get them to turn and talk, and everyone gets a chance to discuss it, and you pre-plan the questions that you like. Anyway, the Rat Park studies, this will lead into, should have said this at the beginning, the Rat Park studies is great. Animal models, very simple ideas of addiction, shows that actually the environment could be a factor, but it's going to lead into our next lesson on unemployment. And so, okay, well, because it's similar, right? Low socioeconomic status, unemployment, the idea that your environment can affect your behavior.